Hi guys, so I wanted to talk to you today about when we work with trauma and a CBT technique called reliving. And when we look at trauma, we have to really look at what is holding that trauma on for us. So we're talking about flashbacks, being hypervigilant, having really overwhelming emotions, potentially having nightmares, having those real strong physical reactions sometimes. But when we look at the memories, the thing with PTSD and with trauma is that we feel like it's actually happening again. So that is kind of when we really feel like we're having that emotional memory that our brain has taken us back to that situation and we feel like it's happening again, which is often called a flashback. And when we look at reliving, this can be done in loads of different ways. But one of the main ways is that we look at retelling the story. And by doing this, we allow our brain time to process the memory. Because the reason why we don't process it is because it's so traumatic and it causes us so much distress. So the brain becomes disorganized and it's not able to put it away. And a really good analogy that I always say to my clients is, if you imagine like a linen cupboard, and in your memories are all the towels and things like that, and then when you have trauma, all the towels are kind of sticking out of the cupboard. So the idea with reliving is we take the towels out, we fold them or fold the linen, and then we slot them back in, and then you're able to close the door and close the memory. And reliving isn't about deleting the memory from your mind, it's about being able to process it. We do that through either a narrative, so it could be written or it can be verbal. And this is obviously done with a qualified therapist, particularly maybe one who specialises in PTSD. And when we are looking at it, it's about really being able to relive that memory. And when you do that, sometimes you'll remember things that you didn't even know was there. And you have to really go into detail of all the things you remember seeing, hearing, feeling. And it may feel really distressing, and that is completely normal because you have trauma, you've been through trauma, and it's led to post-traumatic stress disorder. So it is going to feel uncomfortable, but with a qualified therapist, you're able to expose yourself to the memory either by verbally saying it out loud with the therapist or writing it down with the therapist. And once you do that, you are then able to process the memory. You're able to put things in a coherent order. And then by you reading or listening to it and repeating it, your fear and your anxiety will steadily start to decrease. But initially there may be an increase in flashbacks and nightmares, but again, that is completely normal. And then once you go through it, you start to relive, you expose yourself to the memory, and eventually the memory, you won't experience the flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance, and all the strong emotions. I just wanted to talk to that because I've done a few lectures on reliving and working with trauma this week. So it was something that I just wanted to share with people really. So I hope you found that helpful.